Unless you've been living under a rock somewhere, you've surely heard by now that Activision Blizzard laid off 8% of their total staff. That's over 750 jobs. And we all know that Activision and Blizzard are both very big companies. But what worries me is that this is on the heels of Blizzard losing over 100 EU employees over an optional buyout. What worries me more is J. Allen Brack's message to the community after all this started. Here's what he had to say. We need to reorganize some of our non-development teams. As a result, we will be reducing the number of non-development positions in North America and anticipate a related process in our regional offices over the coming months, subject to local requirements. Brack also tells us that, quote, we have plans to add to game development. Does this mean that they're going to hire more game developers? Could this potentially mean that we're going to have trouble with Classic? Let's talk about that. I don't think anybody would argue that it's dark times at Blizzard. Employees are leaving the company in waves, and the reception of the recent news and content from players has not been very strong. Just go and look at the like and dislike ratio of some of their most released videos on their YouTube channel. Anyways, getting back on point, should all of this restructuring and layoffs cause us Classic fans to worry about the release of Classic? Let's break down and look at everything one at a time. Firstly, the 100 employees that left at the EU optional buyout. From what I understand, most, if not all of these positions were community-related positions. I don't see this having a huge impact on Classic, but I do see it having a huge impact at Blizzard as a whole. If you have never seen Blizzard's mission statement, you should go and check it out. Here's one of their 8 core beliefs. Every voice matters. Great ideas come from anywhere. Blizzard Entertainment is what it is today because of the voices of our players and each member of the company. Every employee is encouraged to speak up, listen, be respectful of others' opinions, and embrace criticism as just another avenue of great ideas. Now, far be it from me to tell Blizzard how to run their company, but don't you think it's going to be a little bit harder to listen to the community if you get rid of that many community positions? Who's going to be the one driving the feedback back to the developers that come from the community, from all those players that built this company? Blizzard's announcement of Diablo Immortal was horrible and soul-crushing. Why? Because it was a mobile game? No, because they announced a mobile game at a mainly PC convention. There are some more reasons, but that was a big one. It seems like if Blizzard had been listening to their fans instead of looking at their bank accounts, that could have been handled much better. But back to my main point of this video. Will this directly impact Classic? I would say by itself, no. There will still be plenty of community managers that are working directly with WoW that this shouldn't be scary for the release of Classic. But for the company as a whole, yes, it's very scary. Now, what about the 8% layoffs? Well, there's a couple of things we should talk about with this. When this was announced, most people assumed that it was mostly no-name employees that worked for the company but didn't have a public face. On top of that, after losing over 100 community jobs to begin with, you'd think they'd look to consolidate other teams, like perhaps their developmental teams. Perhaps people working on unannounced projects, or even people on incubation teams. However, Blizzard seemed to do quite the opposite. Not only were they firing community members, they were firing well-known people. By the time this was all said and done, it seemed like Lore was the only CM left on the Warcraft community team. Should that be concerning for us Classic fanboys? Hell yeah, it should be. I didn't mention it before, but even Caden House, better known as, I'm going to butcher this, Yathizens on the forums, was also fired. If you don't know who he is the one, if not the most active community manager when it comes to Classic WoW, and just WoW in general. Most of, if not all the blue posts that you'll see will come from him. So again, with Caden gone and another 8% and then another 100 from the EU all gone, how is Blizzard supposed to hear us about the things that we need and want in Classic and the changes that we might actually want? For no changes, this is just an example. Remember, Blizzard says that every voice matters. Those are their own words. But it feels like with Classic and even with retail, the communication for WoW is just withering, and with Caden gone, it's a hard line to cross now to be able to get to Blizzard to talk about anything. And lastly, we need to talk about J. Allen Brack's message to the community. Now, there are a few ways that we can take this message. Either Blizzard is trying to calm down the masses because they know what they're doing and they're actually internally fine and they're just trying to get people to stop freaking out. Or more likely, Brack is trying to just buy some time because the company is crumbling internally because of Activision. As much as I would like it to be the former, it just seems like it's a preemptive apology. Sorry, our games are going to be stale for a while and you're going to have content droughts for a while. The thing that concerns me the most is Brack says they want to add to game development. If this does mean they want to add to the development team, then we could be in some serious trouble. Does anybody remember what happened in retail the last time they added a large amount of people to their team? Anyone remember why Siege of Orgrimmar was such a long raid tier? Anybody remember all of that content that was cut from Warlords of Draenor? Yeah, that was because they added too many people to their team and they had to catch everybody up. Now what if that happens with Classic? What if that happens even with retail? What if this happens with all of their games? We could be looking at huge content droughts for every franchise that Blizzard has because of this. So what does all that mean for Classic? Well, Classic doesn't really have a large development team, so if they are adding people, it's not likely that they're going to add to the Classic WoW development team. But if they do, that could be huge. It could push this game out months, if not even into next year, which hopefully will not happen. So for Classic, it doesn't immediately concern me, but it is something that I would keep in the back of my mind. So with all that being said, should we be worried about the release of Classic? Unfortunately, I think we should be. I don't think we need to worry about if it's not going to get released. I definitely think it will be, but the question is, when will it be released? Since BlizzCon, we've really not had much communication with them about Classic, and wouldn't you expect by now that there'd be some sort of beta or friends and family, something to at least, go and test dungeons or go and test PvP servers, test something. I mean, stress test the servers with how many people are going to want to be playing this game. I know we were looking for a Classic experience, but I don't think everybody wants the servers to be crashing on the first week of launch. So I really do think it's something that we need to be worried about. I mean, summer's not that far away. We only have a few months left until we could potentially have this game in our hands. So yeah, guys, I'm really concerned about Classic WoW right now. Like I said, I don't think we need to be worried about it not coming at all, but I am worried that it's going to get pushed back, and if it gets pushed back, we could see a surge in people going to the private servers again, and that's not going to be good for Blizzard, that's not going to be good for us players, it's just not going to be good in general. I'm not sure, but hopefully I'm wrong, but right now it doesn't feel like I'm going to be wrong on this. I mean, I don't want to say take my word for it, but this is just all speculation, so take it for what you will. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. I know for a company as a whole, we do need to be fretful of Blizzard right now, but what about Classic specifically? Are you guys worried? Are you worried that it's going to get delayed? It's going to get canceled? Are you worried that Blizzard's just going to fold and we will never get this and WoW in general is just going to completely disappear? I know that's a little extreme, but I've seen some pretty extreme opinions about that right now. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hey, it's Radit here. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe as well. It really helps out the channel. We put out multiple new videos each week and we appreciate all of your support. Thanks for watching, everyone, and cheers.